Good morning and welcome to Liberation Day 2020. The 75th anniversary of Liberation will be a Liberation Day like we have never known. Even to call it Liberation when we are subject to some of the most draconian restrictions on our freedoms is a misnomer. Do we feel truly liberated today? We're not able to get together and party or to celebrate and commemorate in the way that we would like to do. We could feel sorry for ourselves, and yet we must not, because the democratic values and the individual freedoms that the wartime generation fought and suffered for still very much underpin our lives today, and that is something that we must remember and be grateful for. The traditional Liberation Day, to my mind, is always a day of two halves. In the morning, we remember and we commemorate. We remember what it was like for those who were here in the island, in occupied Guernsey, who were starving towards the end of 1944 and saved only by the Red Cross parcels. We remember the evacuees, the children who left and didn't see their parents for 5 years, those who were interned in Germany, and of course those who didn't survive the war. And we also remember those who fought for our freedom, Guernsey people and members of the armed forces of all the Allied countries. They are the ones who fought and in many cases lost their lives so that we could enjoy the freedom of today. So on a traditional Liberation Day, the day for the bailiff begins with the laying of a wreath at the War Memorial. And that's when I say a silent prayer for those who lost their lives, whose names are inscribed on the memorial. I proceed down to the parade with the youth organisations, serving military officers, and we know there would have been quite a lot of serving units coming this year, the Chelsea pensioners, the Gurkhas, and of course the veterans. And the veterans are particularly in our memory on the 75th anniversary for what they went through. Those who survived are the lucky ones, but they were all prepared to give their lives for us so that we can enjoy the freedom we have today. And the day moves on to the church service where we pray for them all. And it's so important that our children understand and remember what that generation went through. It's important to remember that we always have to fight for our freedom or be prepared to fight for our freedom. We must never take it for granted. But equally, we never want to go to war again. And I'm one of the lucky generation who's luckily lived through a time when there haven't been world wars, and we must be grateful for that. And then in the afternoon, of course, we party and we rejoice, we celebrate, we have the cavalcade, we have the fun, we have the crowds in town. That's a normal Liberation Day. This year's all a little bit different, as we have to self-isolate or socially distance, perhaps able to see a few people, but not able to move about in the way that we would like. Not be able to have the celebrations that we'd look forward to, the military vehicles, all the other groups that were going to come over to Guernsey to help to make it a special day. And I know how wonderful the 70th anniversary was. And I remember immediately afterwards people saying, well, that's been great, but we need to make sure the 75th is even bigger, even greater, even more fun. And that's why so many people were going to come over. The military organisations, the reenactments, friends, relatives, the island would have been packed, the hotels would have been full, the restaurants and the bars and the clubs all would have been packed to the roof and the rafters. But of course, none of that is happening. But thanks to Education, Sport and Culture, who've put together a programme of events, I hope that people can still remember the values that Liberation Day stands for. In the morning, remembering, commemorating, thanking those who lived through the war, those who suffered for us. And then in the afternoon, joining in through the radio, joining in the celebrations and partying as much as you can. That's the best that we can hope to do this Liberation Day. I'm very grateful to all the people who've put up flags and bunting, walking around the island as I've been able to do. It's just wonderful to see how much decoration there is. And thank you for what you've done to brighten the place as much as it possibly can be. But this year, as well as remembering those who fought for our freedom, I would like you all to think of those who are working hard today those people who are working to keep Guernsey together, to maintain our essential services, to maintain our island, to deliver our food, to serve in the shops, and of course, the medical staff, the nurses, the care home workers, all those people who are looking to look after our health and care for us and those in need. And also, spare a thought for those who've lost loved ones. We'll be thinking of those who lost loved ones in the war, but we must also think of those who've lost loved ones during the course of this pandemic, those who are grieving, those who wanted to spend today with people who sadly are not with them. But above all, enjoy today as much as we possibly can. Make it the best day that we can in the circumstances. It will be a Liberation Day that we remember forever, perhaps for the wrong reasons. As I approach retirement, it's not the way that I dreamt of going out as bailiff in my last few days. But I wish you all good health, take care, keep safe, and enjoy the day as much as you can.